This is a conflict that has spanned decades, resulting in immense suffering and ongoing tensions in the region. In this video, we will attempt to unpack the causes behind this conflict and shed light on some of the key events that have shaped it. To understand the Israel-Palestine conflict in Gaza, we need to go back to the late 19th century, when Jewish immigration to Palestine, then under Ottoman rule, began to increase. The Zionist movement, which sought to establish a Jewish homeland, gained significant traction, and after the end of World War I, the League of Nations granted Britain a mandate to administer Palestine, partition plan, and creation of Israel. Fast forward to 1947, when the United Nations proposed a partition plan, which aimed to divide Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. The plan was accepted by the Jewish community, but rejected by the Arab states and Palestinians. This rejection by the Arab states and Palestinians led to the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, resulting in the establishment of Israel as a state and the displacement of thousands of Palestinians who fled or were forced to leave their homes. Occupation and Palestinian resistance with Israel's establishment, tensions between Israelis and Palestinians escalated. In 1967, Israel occupied the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem during the Six-Day War. This occupation has had a profound impact on the lives of Palestinians. Over the years, Israel has built settlements in these territories, which are widely regarded as illegal under international law, exacerbating existing tensions and hindering the path to peace.
I stole your house, and now you want to come and get it back? I'm going to kill you. But you can't do that. It's my house. I have an inherent right of defense. Welcome to the Israeli argument. They stole the Palestinian land. They stole everything. And then they say, when you dare come back and say, I want it back, or I want to challenge you, you can't. I have a right to defend myself, and I have Big Brother America that's giving me the airplanes, the bombs, and everything to do it, because we guarantee that Israel has the technological supremacy over any potential enemy. The occupier never has an inherent right of self-defense against the occupied. That is international law. That is what the International Court of Justice decided in 2004 about this very issue. So that's what I would just tell people, that Israel's the occupier, and they have no inherent right of self-defense against anything the occupied do in relation to the actions of the occupier. And then, they can, then I'll just give me your damn house. And don't come near me, because I have an inherent right of self-defense, and I'll kill you the moment you step across the threshold. No, well, you can't do it. You just said Israel could. Why can't I? Why can't I steal your house and say, get the hell out of here? You just told me Israel has an inherent right of self-defense. They don't. See, if I steal your house and I'm in your house, you have every right to come in and kill me because I stole your house. You're in the right, I'm in the wrong. Israel's in the wrong here, especially Eretz Israel, this political Zionist, infused Israel. I would say this, that the Israel defined by the 48 borders and the 67 borders has a right to exist. And if you're attacking the Israel of 48 and 67, then Israel has an inherent right of self-defense. But what Israel's doing to Gaza right now is not, everybody's like, they got out in 2005. There's a thing called CLA and COGAT. And I just asked people to go and Google it. The Israelis give you a nice, convenient website that explains what it is. The Civilian Liaison Agency, and COGAT is the military arm. They manage everything that happens inside Gaza. Don't tell me that Israel is outside of Gaza. Nothing happens in Gaza unless Israel says it happens. Unless Israel approves it. Nothing goes into Gaza unless Israel says it's approved. If Israel had nothing to do with Gaza, why can't Gaza have a port? Why won't Israel allow shipping in and out of Gaza? Because they can't allow the Palestinians to be in control of their lives. Why don't they have an airport? Why can't Palestinians get a Palestinian passport, go to the Palestinian airport, and fly around the world like we all do? They can't. Why? Israel says they can't.
Scott, let's talk about that.
Gaza. Israel occupies Gaza. Israel controls every aspect of Gaza.
let's talk about that, because I think the average person doesn't really understand, still to this day, what this occupation means. Let's talk about, if you're a Palestinian today, what are your chances of going to an airport, going for a walk on the beach, leaving, coming back, communicating with loved ones around the world, internet, no internet. I mean, what rights do they have, if any, Palestinians? And really, the future, they've wiped out, 4,000 or 5,000 children. I mean, isn't this a recipe for an underground movement to say, wait a minute, this is a whole young generation coming up. They've been battered and beaten down, and brothers and sisters have been killed. I mean, Israel really thinks that they're going to get the message through. I mean, isn't this a recipe for disaster?
Well, it is a recipe for disaster. Let's just put it this way. If you're a Palestinian, you have no rights. None. Zero. Now, I know there's going to be lawyers out there say they have an inherent right of being treated like human beings under the... No, they don't. And the proof is what's happening right now.
The ongoing clashes between Israel and Palestine have seen an outpouring of international concern, and recent discussions have raised the question of China's potential role in this complex and sensitive situation. For the past several decades, the Israel-Palestine conflict has been a recurring flashpoint in the Middle East. The recent escalation in violence, which began with protests over the potential eviction of Palestinian families from East Jerusalem, quickly spiraled into airstrikes, rocket attacks, and widespread devastation. Now let's turn our attention to China's position on the Gaza conflict. Historically, China has maintained a policy of non-intervention in the internal affairs of other countries. However, in recent years, China has sought to expand its global influence and participation in international affairs. As a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, China has the ability to influence diplomatic efforts and international decisions. China's potential involvement in the Gaza conflict is also intertwined with its own geopolitical and economic interests. As the world's second-largest economy, China has significant investments and partnerships across the Middle East. Additionally, the situation in the region has implications for China's Belt and Road Initiative, a global infrastructure development strategy. So what are the potential strategies that China could employ if it were to intervene in the Gaza conflict? One possible approach could involve diplomatic mediation, leveraging its relationship with both Israel and Palestine to encourage dialogue and negotiation.
China, step up to the plate. Do something. Be the leader you claim you want to be. It's China's time to shine. It's China now that can take the lead in solving this problem, because America isn't going to. America can't. We've been discredited. We're not impartial. It's time for China to shine. But, the way you shine is that you have to pick a good versus evil. And I think it's time now that we recognize that Israel is on the side of evil right now. China needs to side with the Palestinians in a fair way. But, this is... we're at a state right now where if you want to say the Palestinians have rights, then you have to stand up and defend those rights. You have to defend them. There's a whole bunch of French lawyers that have come out and said, we're going to defend you. Well, then do it. I'm glad you came out and said you're going to do it. The proof is in the pudding. I want to see case after case after case after case filed in the International Criminal Court. I want every single Israeli pilot to be indicted. I want every Israeli soldier, every Israeli politician. If you hold an Israeli passport, you need to be indicted for the crime of mass murder, collective punishment. You're all guilty of it. Because you allow it to happen. This, maybe the Israeli passport thing was a little bit too much, but but my point is, you have to start standing up and defending Palestinians if they're to have any rights. Because if no one's going to stand up and defend them, then they have no rights. You talk about walking the beach. Really? There's cases where boys went to play on the beach, as boys are wont to do, and the Israeli Navy killed them. Who stood up for their rights? There's a case where Mothers are with their children in their home, trying to prepare the afternoon meal. Bam! Bomb got them. Who stood up for their rights? Don't tell me that the Palestinians have rights. They don't. They have no rights. They don't have the right to live. They don't have the right to breathe. They don't have a right to eat. They don't have a right to travel. They have no rights. They're not even people. They're just statistics. And the proof again is in the numbers. Because one should be too many. One should be too many. But 12,000 weren't just like, because here's the funny thing. Talk to the Americans. I mean, I always love this one when a stupid American diplomat gets out there. 12,000's too many. Well, what's an acceptable number, boy? 12,000's too many. 8,000, that a good number for you? So if you're the Palestinian and you got in the lottery and you pulled number 7,999, you don't count. But if you got lottery number 8,001, your life matters now because 8,000 is too many. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing in the world for anybody to ever say that 12,000 is too many. One is too many.
Scott, how does China get involved?
Well, how did China get involved with Saudi Arabia and Iran? China is a global power. China has global interests. China's interests seem to be grounded more in stability than trying to impose Chinese will. I mean, the funny thing is China brokered this deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And how many Chinese troops then moved into the Middle East to take over that base that Iran promised them in exchange for this? Or how many Chinese airplanes flew to Saudi Arabia? None. That's my point. China didn't do this to get into the Middle East and take over the Middle East. China did it because they need Iran and Saudi Arabia to trade with them via BRICS, via the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They need that to get the Chinese, economy, the Belts and Roads Initiative and the new Silk Highway to connect with the Middle East to do this thing that China's really good at, which is promoting global trade and commerce. That's where they need stability, long-term stability, not short-term gain, long-term stability. So China is the only nation that is looking for, for instance, if they were to get involved in a solution, and they've been saying they're prepared to do this. It's not like I'm asking China to do something China's been saying for years, we're ready to take the lead on resolving this issue. But their solution isn't going to be in America. See, America can't give you a solution because we're dealing with a Congress that's bought and paid for by Israel. The last time I checked, Israel doesn't own the Chinese government yet. Who knows? Down the road, it may happen. But in the United States, our government is bought and paid for by Israel. They own it.
The Israel-Palestine conflict in Gaza is a deeply complex issue with historical, political, and social dimensions. The roots of this conflict can be traced back to the early 20th century and have resulted in immense suffering for both Israelis and Palestinians. Resolving this conflict requires acknowledging the legitimate rights and aspirations of both parties, addressing the root causes and promoting sustained dialogue and negotiations. Only through a comprehensive, just, and lasting solution can lasting peace be achieved in the region. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the causes behind the Israel-Palestine conflict in Gaza. Make sure to leave your thoughts and comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. See you next time.